we're doing hair today. Are you excited? Well, it's gonna take a while, so I hope that excitement lasts. Alrighty then. Let's see what we have right here. You might be thinking, Rain, you've already done half of it already? What on earth? Well, it's rather repetitive, so let me just show you some things. First, you should have your images in the background. This one and this one. Now, I'm doing this hair in two ways. The first ways being making this shape right here. And you'll see on the side it says cube. I'm going to rename that to hair tufts. These are just to fill out a large areas of space, but it's still looking pretty good. Right now it's still in a blocky form, so I'm just gonna go to object and shade smooth. It'll be a lot smoother now. This fills out a lot of space. Now, if you're the kind of person that wants things to look crazy smooth, you can go ahead and add subdivisions if you really want, and it'll make things look a bit better. However, I don't recommend it. I think the difference it's going to make is not worth it, especially since these are gonna usually be with emission. So if I just have this right and I do this kind of thing, I just make new and then change that to emission, and then I do the same with the rest. New, actually should be able to just do that. Yeah, gonna rename this. You can't really tell how blocky it is, and it's going to more or less look the same with the subdivision modifier. The only thing that's going to give it shape is the shading. But right now, it looks like it all fits well. So, how do you make this hair strand? So what we are going to do is we're going to add a cube. Gonna grab it, put it over here, scale it down. Scale it down with S. Let me turn on screencast. I've changed position a bit, so it should hopefully be easier to read. Let's grab that cube again. Let's put it about here. And grab it, put it about here. Alright, so just go to the front view with numpad 1 and Control A, apply all transformations, Control A, rotation and scale. Go to edit mode now. I'm going to scale this in the X direction. Number 3, scale it in the Y direction. We're going to add a modifier, subdivision subsurface, with levels viewport set to 2. You get this kind of shape. Let's go back to object mode and apply this. Just like that. Back to edit mode. Just gonna grab this, put it here and scale it up a little bit. And that way too. Just adding these loops and scale it in the X direction. No, scale it in the Z direction. You're gonna turn on X-ray. Actually, just get rid of these bottom ones. X, delete vertices. Scale in the Z direction. I'm gonna do this opposite to this, so there's a bit more variation. grab these, Alt V, hit Y to look it in that direction. Face select. X delete faces. X delete faces. Alright, so that's gonna be one strand. Gonna have to make some faces in there later. Yeah, select this. Alt V Y. It's gonna be another strand. Delete faces. Delete faces. Gonna select this, hit F, make a face there. Select this, hit F. Select these, hit F. And same on this side, F. And these, F. And these. Should be faces on both of those now. I'm gonna hit Control R and put split down the middle. I'm gonna select this and I'm gonna get the smooth tool and smooth that out a little bit. You'll see that the line that we put in the middle is starting to show a bit more, which is good. Gonna turn that off. Select these. You can also add loops here and extend these parts. Get something like this. Now I'm just going to use this proportional editing. And do this kind of thing. Just like this. Scale. Go to the front view. Add some shape to it. This is the kind of shape that you want. Now I'm gonna select this, move it here, add a modifier and mirror. We can continue doing some hair stuff, filling out the large shapes. So with this, I'm gonna hit Shift D and just put it where I think is appropriate. I'm gonna put this here and shape this like this and this. I'm gonna grab in the Y direction, move it back. And pull these back in the Y direction. Gonna delete these vertices. I'm gonna flatten this out. Now another thing I want to do is give this a bit of, first round this out. Scale on the Z axis. To give this a bit of shape, so I'm gonna grab that line and grab it in the X axis and push that in. You'll see it'll give a bit of an indentation there. Same here. Can extrude these as well. Alright, so that's the first way. The second way, if we go to object mode, and we can definitely add material to this, like that. So you'll see how it fits in with the rest of the hair. The next way is with curves. So how we're going to do that is we're going to press add and then curve and then circle right here. It's right there. So we're just going to put the location to 0, 0, 0 and hit enter. Gonna hit S to scale this down. Now this doesn't have to be at 0, 0, it just has to be somewhere. But I just like putting it in 0 because it's kind of out of the way. Gonna go to edit mode. See that there. Gonna click this thing here. It's not a triangle this time, it's a curve with 2 dots on it, a green curve. It's called object data properties. So click that and we're gonna change this down to 2. So when it's when the resolution, what is that called? The resolution preview, when that's down to 2, you'll see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 edges right here. 8 is the minimum amount of faces you need to make something look curved or circle. Let's have it A. I'm also gonna just grab those and scale in the Y direction. Just a little bit. Alright, so we've got that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to object mode. We're going to add a curve and bezier. Now this we're going to grab, put that there, scale it down quite a lot. Just have it right there. Now still in object data properties, we're going to go to geometry, bevel, and change it to the new bezier circle that you put in. And you'll see something like this. which is pretty good. Gonna look at that. We want to have 2 bends here, so we can have a lot more control over it. So I'm just gonna bring that down. That's 1, so there's not really any bends here. And that's 2. 1, 2. I guess 1 bend, but 2 faces. That's what you want. Alright, so we'll just go to 1, Control A, our rotation scale, all transformations. And then what we can also do is add a mirror to this. We can start modeling with this. So how you do that is you go to edit mode. You hit A to grab all. We're gonna try and get this curve done. Gonna start it there. So this is the middle. I'm gonna grab this. And actually, let's turn off this hair that we just made for just a moment so you can see what I'm doing. So when we look at it from the front view, we want to rotate this to change the direction of the curve. You can also press S to, I guess, push and pull the curve however you like. You can hit Alt S to make that circle bigger, and hit 2, Alt S. I'm actually going to change mine to lasso. Let's go to this view as well. I'm going to hit A for all. I'm going to grab it in the Y-axis, pull it back to about here. This I'm going to rotate in the Z-axis so it's reasonably straight. This is pretty alright. That's pretty alright. Just gonna scale that down. Bring that there. Now we can just keep extruding this with E. Rotating it, see if we like the curve, grabbing, etc. E to extrude. Now this could be thinner if you wanted it to be, but I kind of like it like this, so I'm going to leave it. What you can also do is just press L or A and Shift D to duplicate, and you've got another strand to mess with. So I'm just going to hit Y to bring it forward in the Y direction. I'm going to actually control and lasso these away. I'm just going to hit X and delete those vertices. So this stops there now. This curve stops here. So just adjusting these in a way that I like. Bring this back. Scale it down. So that's another way to do hair. Now, another way to do hair is what I like to do for the fringe. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to object mode. Going to press 1, add mesh, cube. Gonna put these values at 0 and the y value at 0 too, not the z value. So I'm gonna scale this to about there. Gonna add a modifier, subdivision subsurface, put that to 2 and apply. Gonna also hit Control A, all transformation, Control A, rotation and scale. Now this I'm gonna name Fringe. Gonna go to edit mode and grab this in the Y direction. Just put it about here. Can select this back half and delete it. Can select this half here and delete that too. So you have this kind of shape. I'm gonna scale in the X direction. This kind of thing will do. And just double tap G and bring this forward a little bit. Gonna also select this, X, delete vertices, and add a mirror modifier. Right, I'm also going to add subdivision to it. So this is symmetrical to about here maybe, so we'll just do these parts. Gonna Control R, put a loop down there, select this, E to extrude, E to extrude, E to extrude, rotate this, and scale this with proportional editing. Scales like that. Double tap G to bring this up. Just try and match the reference as best as you can. Grab that in the white. I'm going to try and keep everything in the Y axis because we've already sorted out the front. I think that's one part. Now for this part here, I'm gonna do another Control R, grab this, extrude, 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 rotate, rotate, scale. So I'm gonna click this here. It's called On Cage. This will just be able to see the shape a lot easier. So that's one part of the fringe. going to go to object, shade smooth. These ones as well, shade smooth. Let me see if I can fix some of these lighting errors. It might just be a shading thing though. What's this? Fringe front. Oh, actually this might be better if I just do the material. So, I'm gonna change that to hair. I'm gonna change this to hair as well. These ones change to hair, and anything else? No. So it's not bad having just one plane for the hair at all. And with the right shaders, it will be double-sided too. Now when it comes to the back of the hair, let me just hide these. This is actually merged in the center. In the center. This is just this, except I've taken away a little bit of the edge, straightened it out a bit, and put them together. Like the last thing I did was add a little split there because it was a bit too thick, but that's it. It's like pretty simple. So now all that's left to do is finish up the back. Gonna H. Now I'm just gonna do the rest of it with just curves, and then I'll be back. This is pretty much it for the hair. I'm just gonna add that hair material back. This is pretty much it for the back of the hair, just straight lines going down, and they're all kind of meeting in the center. It doesn't have to be dead perfect, but obviously the neater you can get it, the better. Because this will obviously show up. Grab and set. Yeah, so you want to try and keep this as neat as possible. But for now, This is pretty decent. So object mode, gonna add that back. And this is the hair colored flat. Very poofy style. Another thing I wanted to add was that little braid at the front. That'll do. And you can see as well it's not exactly like the reference, but you know, you stick to the reference as much as you want to or don't want to. So what you do want to get into a good habit of is having the hair in a way that you could separate it easily, because what you are going to have to do now is find little parts of this and add bones to it. So that wasn't too hard, was it? You've got the thin layer on the top, the thick layers with these at the bottom, and then the one layer thick fringe at the front. Of course you can use this however you want. If you want to do the whole thing just with one single layer, you can do that. If you want to do the whole thing with curves, you can do that too. Or if you want to do the whole thing with just this, you can do that. That's what I started off doing, just using these big shapes, which still looks pretty decent. So if we just go through the bottom layer of the hair, actually, there's not a lot here. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4 of these shapes. And if we hide that, actually, let's hide this. The top layers are quite thin, very thin. This is just adding some thickness to it. Alright, so, hoi. Right, so for some reason I've got this braid thing to work, right? That I don't know why. If I select all of these and they're red, it doesn't work. But if I select all of these and they're yellow, it works. I don't know why that is. I really don't know why that is. So let me check something. Let me show you actually. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So we've got all these braids here, and if we put this down to 1, this looks pretty decent. This looks pretty decent. We can scale this, and it more or less looks like a braid. But it starts breaking when I put the resolution up, and it stops looking like a braid. This one, on the other hand, it just turns into a different shape. So if I click this, and I put this up and down, it's still gonna look like a braid. And if I scale it, it more or less still looks like a braid, but this one doesn't. I don't know why that is. So I thought I should just tell you, I've been having a weird realization with that. If I start from scratch and scale that down, Control A, all transformations, add that bevel object circles, put this here, and go to edit mode, it's red. So you don't want this. Red is not your friend. However, if we just delete this, or you make a curve and then you delete the curve and you go back into it, this should do fine. Just go to edit mode and then you start making this kind of thing. So just zoom in, grab one of these points, control and click. Do numpad 3 and grab in the Y direction. I'm gonna try and make a braid here. Go 3 across and 3 down. Let's go 3 across and click. 3 down and click. Why are these red? That's yellow now. 3 across, 3 down. Have it be as close to accurate as you can. Just gonna click this and go up. Control, click, control, click. I think that is more than enough. Just gonna select that whole thing and it's all yellow, which is what you want. Grab in the Y direction. About there is good. Gonna alt scale that down a little bit. Gonna zoom in and shift D to duplicate, and I'm gonna hit control to snap it to the grid. So from here, go across 1, up 1. Shift D, hit control to snap. From here, across 1, up 1. So it looks like this. This is the shape that you want. Now I'm just going to colour these to make it easier to keep track of things. So I'm just going to go to material, so the sign, and the sign here too. Alright. Gonna start here on the green one, skip one, select all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so what we've got here is green, red, blue, green, red, blue, all the way down to the bottom. So we press 3 now, numpad 3, gonna hit G, Y, and then hit control. Hold control, and then click. So just move it 1 across, backwards. Go back to number 1, numpad 1, first view. I'm going to select this one, so we're not touching this top one at all. I'm going to select one, select, skip, all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to have pretty much the same colour sequence as the top one. So just going to hit numpad 3 again. I'm going to hit G, Y, and hold control to snap. Then you get this pattern. There's your braid. And this axis. Okay. Gonna go to the front with numpad 1, select all of this. And we're gonna rotate it and hold control. Snap. That'll bring it perfectly vertical. Because we did basically do a perfectly diagonal. We're also gonna rotate in the Z axis with control until we see that braid that we like. That's it, but there's also one on this side. Here we go. We can select all of this again, and we can go to Object Data Properties, the green curve with 2 circles, and we can push that up and round this all out. Now I've got a pretty braid. Now I really don't know why it only works when it's yellow, but just keep that in mind. I'm gonna turn on this reference. I'm gonna grab this. Put it here. And oh yeah, another thing I forgot to do. Another thing that you want to do is scale in the Y direction. You don't want to go too far. This needs to go down. Scale it in the Y direction. That's better. That's way better. Yeah, so in the Y direction you'll have this spiral pattern. Now, before I edit this any further, I actually want to go back to object mode and I'm going to make sure I've got this braid selected, so I'm on the right layer. I'm just going to call it final braid. I'm going to go to object mode. I'm going to go to, no, not object mode, I'm going to go to object, and then I'm going to convert to mesh from curve meta blah blah. Click that. Then go to edit mode, and here's your braid. Here's your smooth braid. A little bit overkill in my opinion. A little bit overkill. I'm gonna let this be not so great quality. I think this is more than good enough for a model. And then edit mode. That doesn't look too bad. That's more what I was going for. Now we can turn on proportional editing and have this move in a way that we'd prefer. Alrighty. So remember to save your work. And it is very late because I've been figuring out how to do this braid thing. But yes. I don't even know. See you in the next video. Farewell!